Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing great. We are back with another episode of Chai Time. I am your host, Adina, and today I'm here with two special people. First is Adnan, of course, our CEO. Adnan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How was your week so far?
Crazy, but good. Got a lot of things done.
Anything exciting this week?
Exciting. Yeah. We're making progress. So I think our job portal is gonna go live this week, and then I'm hoping by tomorrow we'll have that live. And Atlas started smiling at people, so that's exciting for us personally.
That's cute. That's so cute, mashallah. And we also have another special guest here with us, Muhammad bin Munir. And Muhammad, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Alina. Thank you for asking.
Okay. And Muhammad, for those of you guys, please welcome Muhammad to our podcast. He is a public speaker and he's also somebody who is studying computer science. So he also has a know how of tech. And we will be talking to him in our creator segment. So, another thing that we would like to mention is that we have started our new series, which is AI and education with OpusAI. So, in this series, we will be talking about AI and education and how AI can play a role in education, its impact on education, and those sort of things. So, this week, the topic that we have is how can AI boost student engagement? So, as you guys know, last week we talked about AI and classrooms, and this week it's more about students. So, my first question would be to you, Adnan, which is how do you think AI can transform the traditional sort of homework into making it more engaging and learning sort of an activity?
Great question. I mean, homework. Who likes it? Uh, Not me. Let's think about why, what's the heritage of homework? Where did homework come from, and where is it going? Right. Traditionally speaking, of course, school used to be a small part of your daily life, and in order to keep, um, so I mean, like with in early age, especially, one of the thing is children lose focus. They don't have. You tell them something, and they're gonna be super engaged for 2 seconds, and then suddenly, like, their focus is going to shift, and they no longer are paying any attention. They don't even remember what you said, right? And that's a normal thing that happens in early age. One way to reinforce what is being taught is homework. And the purpose behind that is that, okay, in school you're constantly reinforcing and re-engaging, and retelling the same story about a particular topic, but then they go home and they start playing, and they no longer have any um, memory, or almost like, it slips off their mind, and the next day they come to school, they actually have no idea. What homework does is that if you're repeating it while in a different environment, um, it reinforces, uh, kind of makes a more lingering thought, rather than just something that is associated with, let's say, a specific place or time. um, what has happened over the last few years? First of all, of course, computers that we can keep in our pockets, right? Your smartphones, your small lightweight laptops, and a whole bunch of other gadgetry around it, which has in a way made the job of the teachers easy, because what you can do is you can assign tasks even when the student is no longer in your physically present in the class, which kind of does the same thing that homework used to do. Basically make it a lingering thing, that, okay, I have to do this and that, and send notifications, send reminders. Uh, and I think that has changed quite a bit, right? Homework hasn't quite gone away, but here in, especially in the North America and Western countries, it has become um, almost less of a chore that, oh, you have to do, go home and do it, but more of a assignment that you just assign, and just keep on reminding them that they have to get it done. And that helps with the overall aim of the what homework was. Now with AI, I think um, there's an interesting opportunity here, and it's not being I don't think it's being exploited right now. But the um, like I said previously, like that homework is a way to keep the student engaged in what is being taught 24 hours a day, right? Not as a chore, but more as a something that becomes part of their life, something that becomes a more like a learning experience than just a classroom experience. Um, um, I think with AI, there are a few opportunities. First of all, instead of sending like simple boring reminders, make it more of an interactive thing. That let's say um, an assistant, AI assistant is like actually while the student is at home, having a conversation with them or having some kind of engagement with them, which um, helps them help the student really um, get out of that I have to do this chore mindset, and get into that, oh, this is something that is kind of fun. It's kind of like engaging, and there is somebody or that is helping me get through this, right? That definitely, I think, is an opportunity. And of course for ourselves, I think what we're aiming for is to kind of that the matrix, how Neo learns in matrix kind of mindset, right, where learning is almost never it's a very engaging, immersive, becomes an immersive experience where you learn a lot of new things without ever having to feel boredom, right? And AI, I think, can play a really big role in transforming that, making that transformation happen.
Yeah. And as you mentioned that it's really difficult to get the attention of students a lot of the time, little kids as well. And for AI, how do you think AI can make learning a very immersive sort of thing, an immersive experience for kids? Because a lot of the times we see that homeworks are boring for even us as kids. So what do you think AI can do that could change that?
Um, a lot has happened in the last few years, and I touched upon it a little bit, but we're very excited about how we think the classroom is going to evolve, and traditional education is going to change rapidly, right? And um, I think one of the thing is kind of that mixed reality experience where learning is not about reading something from the book and then going and reinforcing it and trying to make the relation between what you read in the book and what you're seeing in the real life. Some kind of like because in my days it used to be practicals and theoretical, right, where you would go in a lab and do some practical, and then you're bent down over a book, uh, trying to memorize a lesson. Two different things. I think that's is happening. It's not happening as fast as I would like, but I think that's is going to be one thing where you put on AR glasses, and uh, when you're looking at things, it's giving you the information that you need, and helping you really make the connection, like kind of make it a much immersive, much more um, faster experience in a way, because you no longer have to read the book, memorize it, and then go and try to make the relation with the physical phenomena that the conversation was about. So I think that's a big leap that needs to happen, and it needs to happen, in my head it needs to happen faster than it's happening. But uh, uh, the flip side of that is that in order to make that and that's what happened, right? So in order to make that happen faster, we have to create a lot more content much faster. And of course, content creation is complicated, it's hard, it's very expensive, and that's where most of the schools and most of the education institution lag. They want to do a lot of things, but it can't happen fast enough because of the lack of content, and that's where we come in, of course. AI-driven content, right, where you can create a lot of content, make it part of the learning experience in mixed reality, or in virtual reality, and uh, that's in my head is the next um, evolution of the learning experience.
Okay. That seems fair enough. Like that seems like something that would be promising as well. And as we've talked about in our previous episodes as well, in our Twitter space that we talked about AI and creativity. So, do you think that AI? How do you think AI can enhance creativity and innovation in students? Because it is something that AI and creativity, that's a very complex sort of phenomena. So, how would you think that would happen?
Um, so what is creativity, right? And it's a ongoing debate in I think philosophy, that what's the root of creativity, and what how to even define what creativity is. Creativity to me, personally, unlike the modern term that is used these days, that, oh, if you can make a video of yourself, you're a creator. I think creativity had more to do with um, originality, coming up with something that um, still ties to the um, human inside us, but at the same time is in one way or multiple ways um, highlighting a um, new factor, new so originality is not something like it's not a single scale. It can be multi-scale, like you can be fully original, you can be partially original, you can be have some minor part of it that is original. But to me, creativity is about being original in one way or the other, right? One of my favorite creative band from the 70s, Monty Python, right? And their creativity, I think, is on a very different level. um, um, and the reason is that they take something very ordinary, very simple, very basic, that relates to the human inside us, and uh, completely puts it in a different on a different canvas, in a different limelight, right? If you haven't watched it, there's a small skit called Argument Clinic. You can probably watch it on YouTube, but it's extremely creative, because they take something very simple, as in, like, psychotherapy, or consulting a psychologist, but they or more like some kind of training, and they put it in a way that you're being taught to, like, trained to do arguments. And it's you should definitely watch it if you haven't watched it. But uh, that makes you laugh, simply because you have never thought that it can be, like, done, you can see something in this line, right? And I think that's what, to me, creativity is about. Now, AI is, in more than one way, is exceptionally, um, I think, naturally good at this, because that's what artificial intelligence is about, or as we used to call it, machine learning is about, finding things that finding patterns um, that are not um, outright visible, and highlighting them, right? And we have seen it, a kind of lucid dreaming that it can induce. Um, Kind of these weird shape that looks very um, normal to us, and we can't tell why, uh, but it happens, right? So yeah, I think pretty good at it. For ourselves, I think that's where the learning experience, or the next learning experience, lies, where you take content generated by AI and use that to create an immersive, extremely engaging experience for students.
Yeah, and as you talked about like patterns in AI, our next question is related to that, which is, do you think that AI driven analytics, they can, improve the engagement of students, or they can make them learn better by understanding their learning patterns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's something that traditionally is, if you're that's the job of a teacher, right? To figure out individual student, like their deficiency, their strengths, and play those things uh, to make the increase the engagement, which leads to, of course, the student learning much faster, much quicker. I think AI can be a great help in that, because what is happening these days is, with schools, they're short staff. Like the um, um, for every school here, for every class, the number of student versus the amount of teachers that are available, and specifically the number of experienced teacher who are really good at this thing is, like is not is in disproportion, right? And I think what AI can do is definitely monitor these patterns, see what the student is most engaged in, and kind of like help the teacher uh, um, increase the engagement based on those analytics, right? And not just the teacher, but their parents as well. So um, um, to reach the ultimate end goal, which is to, of course, to have smarter people, right? The smarter students who are invested in their learning, invested in making a career, and also uh, generally knowing a lot more um, than is possible through traditional means.
Yeah. And as we know that as kids grow up, their interests change and their passions change too. So how do you think that for like teachers, it's that teachers are the ones who kind of, sometimes motivate students or they inspire kids. But for AI, how do you think AI would be able to, find out or maybe help kids find their passions or interest and maybe help them in that regard?
Great question. So there are twofold answer to this. One is, of course, the analytics and monitoring of the students that we just talked about, right? Help them, or at least learn the pattern that we see, and recommend the things that may be relevant. But I think the more interesting answer for me is help them um, help them step into that discomfort, or like the things that they're not comfortable with. So the thing that happens with most students, and both me and Asra, like we're both very passionate about education, and we have always been very interested in how education works, but also how to train young people, how to help them find the thing that really works for them. And what we discover most of the time is young people end up doing some things for a very long time simply because they were afraid of the failure, that, oh, if I try something new, I'm not going to be good at it. Nobody told me that I can do this thing, or nobody told me that.
Yeah.
And um, that's the unfortunate part about education institution, right? They help you with a lot of things. What they never help you with is stepping over that indecisiveness, right? You see in education institute, you see a lot of indecisive people, and every older person and adult is asking them, oh, what do you want to be, what do you want to do, forgetting that in their age they had no idea what to do either, right? But for them it's like the right question to ask. And what they don't want to do is help them actually discover how to reach that commitment, or conclusion where they are sure about that this is what they want to do, right? Because they themselves don't know, like even after all this time, right? And I think that's something that we need to we can use. artificial intelligence, but specifically, what we're doing to a very great extent, like step have people step into really uncomfortable um, waters, let's say in virtual reality, where they can experience different profession, right? What is it like for a day job at, let's say, as a construction worker? What is it as a
Yeah.
day job as a security guard? What is it like? And experience these different, step into different shoes, so they actually understand that, oh, this is what it's like. I would like to try it, or this is what it's like. Oh, this is not something that I want to do, etc. Right? And um, video games can play a big role in that. And what I imagine is that in the future, this is going to be almost a part of it, and it should be like in this age, this should be part of every career counseling session or every career counseling budget, that help students experience what is it like to be in the step of this particular job that they think is a great idea, but also the things that they don't think is a great idea. So they have, by the time they reach uh, the age or the level where they have to make a decision, they actually know that, okay, this is what it's like to be um, and it's a lot of young kids, especially in their head, oh, I want to be an animal doctor, right? And they don't realize that being an animal doctor is actually not about petting animals. It's about cleaning up the shit a lot of times, and dealing with a lot of blood and gore. And that's what I mean, right? You have to really help them experience those things, so they don't make
Yeah.
the wrong decision and then later regret those decisions.
Yeah.
Not to say anything about bad. I think animal doctors are great. They do great job, and it's very tough, right? Because they have to do a lot more than even human doctors do. But often, I see that oh, if I knew this is all I have to do, then I would have maybe chosen something different, right? So you want people who actually are committed to a profession rather than people who regret being in a profession.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for your answers, Adnan. I would be moving to the creator segment. But before that, anybody who has any questions, they can just write it in the chat box and we will answer those. So, Muhammad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Lina. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And how has your week been so far?
It's been quite busy. I have my final exams coming in next week.
Yeah.
The weather is quite tough, so traveling to university and all that has been really tough. इसके
Yeah.
अलावा बस yeah, normal routine, nothing really
Okay.
special.
Okay. So, my first question to you would be, how might AI, in your opinion, use data to make learning more fun and engaging for students?
I think AI as a tool, has a lot of specialities attached to it. Things like being able to analyze vast amount of data, being able to, analyze behavior patterns, preferences, and all these things. And this adds a lot to the idea of creating personalized learning experiences, which are, really important for the student to stay interactive and for the student to have fun while studying. So for example, if there is a student who learns better through visual aids, etc., so AI is, able to provide with them things like animations or, infographics, interactive simulations and all these things. And these are very beneficial because they generate that sort of interest and create that sort of incentive for the student to keep studying. Because, a lot of time there are many students who just do not like reading, who may not have that sort of, focus span to read a lot of pages, etc. So uske through it becomes a really interesting tool. And uske alawa, even, there are a lot of tools that AI has right now, such as, let's just take chat gpt, etc. uske andar you just put in a whole, 3 to 3 pages ka text, and it's likely to summarize that for you and generate questions regarding that for you. So that's, very interactive, especially for someone who does not have that sort of interest in reading, etc. Uske alawa, I think you're also really you have very adaptive learning platforms right now, which adjust the difficulty level of questions, etc., through with regards to the ability of the student. So like when I was prepping for SAT in 2022 or 21, there was a website which I was using, and uske upar the questions were always going level up. So मैं लेवल 1 से शुरू करके लेवल 5 तक जा सकता था, एंड अगर मैं लेवल 1 को सही से नहीं कर रहा, इट विल आस्क मी टू रिपीट लेवल 1 वंस अगेन. सो इट्स नॉट लाइक कि मैं एक क्वेश्चन के ऊपर फंस जाऊंगा. द सेंस ऑफ प्रोग्रेशन इज समथिंग व्हिच मेक्स इट रियली फन व्हाइल स्टडीइंग, वरना उसके बगैर यू जस्ट फील लाइक यू स्टक. सो या.
Okay. Okay. That seems like something that AI would be able to cater to. And moving on to the next question, which is, what are some ways, in your opinion, that AI can create a very inclusive and engaging classroom environment?
That's also quite interesting. I think majorly the ability that AI possesses to address individual needs and promote diversity within itself is something which is really interesting. One way that AI can do this is by providing personalized feedback and support to students. By analyzing datas, and algorithms can identify the areas in which students may be struggling, and provide interventions in order to show them कि अच्छा ये मसले हैं आपके साथ, these are the issues that you're facing, and these are the issues that you need to work on. This also ensures that students receive the support that they really need to, because in the education system, and this might not be primarily the, balki this is primarily also a problem of the third world and countries like Pakistan especially. The focus is not very student centric. It's always to a bunch of students who are just working as the toppers, or are working as the favorite students of a class. So the diversity is never tackled, Joe. But the students who are not able to think that way, or are not able to possess that sort of intellect, they are never preferred. So unke liye, then these algorithms can specifically generate questions, etc., or analyze different ways through which they are able to learn. And and especially because AI is something which can also help mitigate biases, etc., by analyzing text and multimedia. So you can always replace a lot of things which are deemed to be offensive within books or text, etc., which are deemed to be offensive in terms of history vagera, and provide better examples or alternatives through which students of different backgrounds and cultures can engage and understand with them.
Yeah, that also makes sense. And moving on to the last question that I'll do before we wrap up, which is, how might AI, in your opinion, help students to take like ownership of their own learning journey?
All right. I think AI has that sort of empowerment that it provides with to students when they are learning or are on their learning journey, because there are a lot of tools and tracks and resources that AI provides, with a lot of features such as you being able to set your own goals, you being able to track your progress, and then making informed decisions about that progress, that how I need to work harder, or do I need to pace down a little. For instance, AI driven systems can suggest personalized learning paths which are based on each student's interests, strengths, and areas of improvement, etc., such as the example I just gave about me learning SAT through this way. But it's also more about more recommendations about different courses, recommendations about articles and interactive tutorials which are tailored for your students need. So this assistance is something which can help a student not only grow but also manage their time very effectively by creating this sort of personalized study schedules and reminders, by analyzing factors such as these are the deadlines, this is the workload that you need to engage with, and these are the learning objectives that you need to complete within this sort of time span. And this prioritization that AI teaches a student in order to allocate time efficiently, balance their academic responsibilities with their other commitments, etc., is something which creates that sort of environment for these students to grow on and be on a very interactive learning experience, which I don't think so the traditional schools can provide to that extent.
Yeah. I also agree that AI does have a lot of promising things that AI can introduce to students, and we can also have that benefit from that as well. And moving on to Adnan, before we wrap up, do you have any key takeaways that you would like to share?
Yeah, education is a fascinating topic, like especially like how the world is heading, and I think um, it is like long due for an overhaul. It's long due for um, rethinking what education means in the modern world, and that's what the segment we're doing is about. It's about driving, starting this conversation that, oh, this is what we think the education should be, and happy that we are doing this. It's something that we've been thinking of doing for a long time. So yeah.
Yeah, that is actually great because a lot of people who don't know much about AI and they do have an interest in AI as well as they're either students or they're learning about AI, they can tune into our episodes and they can have some sort of knowledge about it. And I have people who have said that this is something that talking about the basics, it's something that helps us a lot to understand even from a non-technical sort of background. So I think so with this, with chai time, we can help people have that sort of knowledge. And for everybody who has joined in, I would like to thank you guys. Thank you, Adnan. Thank you, Mohammed, for giving your opinions. And that was actually a very interesting sort of discussion that we had today. And for everybody who has joined in, please check out the Opus website. Our pre-sale is live. And next week, we are also doing another episode that is related to this education and AI. So make sure that you guys tune into that as well. And until then, bye bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.